What is going on, guys? It's your boy Sympatix, and today we're doing a brand new Road to the Cup. So we're gonna sim this episode or sim this game. So Florida actually comes up 3-2 in the first, blanked them in the second, and we get blown out 5-2. So simulation not always the best for us, but we are heading to New York. So Madison Square Garden, MSG. Let's see what we can do. So we're gonna sim the first and the second, and play the third. So we end up on a 1-0 lead after the first. So 4-1 after the first or the second period. So let's get right into this here, boys. Alright, so we'll change this. Turn this all off for the most part, like always. I don't know why that doesn't save. That's one thing I don't like about this. Make sure my audio's all good. Commentary, turn that off. I don't know why that doesn't save either. I'm gonna go in and save that after this game probably. And we'll make the period 5 minutes just because I'm only playing one period. I think this is better though, guys, because I'm gonna be able to get through the season quicker, and we're gonna be able to end up in the playoffs a lot sooner. And the playoffs I may do. No, I'll probably sim the first two periods, but I'll probably do 2 games per video in the playoffs is probably what I will do. So in this episode, I guess we'll talk about some things that happened. So Phaneuf was traded from the Toronto Maple Leafs to the Ottawa Senators for basically Jared Cowan. I believe it's Milan Michalek, and there was one more player. Who was that? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think here. I can't think of who it was. But it was basically 3 roster players for the Leafs. And we just scored. 3 roster players for the Leafs, and the basically for Phaneuf. And I mean, Toronto, they're in the full rebuild right now. I mean, you can't, if you're a Leafs fan, you can't be upset with that trade in my opinion, because Ottawa, they're not winning as much as I think that their team expects to win. Alright, we're gonna break away. I was gonna try and do something cool, but that failed. But you can't you can't blame them for doing it. I seen a thing on SportsCenter or Sportsnet or something that like 3 Leafs players that they have, which was Clarkson and Phaneuf, were all huge contracts. Yes, they retained some of Phil's contract, but they still got rid of most of it. And they just got him out of Toronto. He wasn't happy. I don't think Dion was happy. Kadri said that he was shocked and upset, but, or if that Phaneuf was shocked and upset, but at the same time, I don't think he was. I think you look at it this way. He went from a non-playoff team that was absolutely had no chance, was probably going to finish last in the NHL regardless if he stayed or not. And he's going to a team that, yeah, they're not playing well right now, but they can win a Stanley Cup. You can't deny that. They have a good team in Ottawa. He could get time with Erik Karlsson, which would be something that would be insane. I know that for him that would be insane. I know as if you're a Senators fan, you're probably like, why would they do this? And Dion is not a bad defenseman. I think people don't understand that. People overlook that. He had such high expectations when he went to Calgary, when he was drafted by Calgary. And he never really exceeded their expectations or even reached them. And I think that always bugged him. That bugged obviously Calgary because they traded him. But for Toronto, that was like their saving grace. They thought, okay, we're gonna turn things around. And they had that one chance to turn things around when Kessel was there, when they made the playoffs against Boston, went to Game 7, up 4-1 heading into the third, and they blow that and lose it in overtime. That is what at least I would remember from my time in Toronto if I was Dion Phaneuf. I would remember getting to the playoffs, losing, and I think maybe he gets to the playoffs this year and loses, but I mean, I hope he loses because I want Tampa to win, but obviously he's probably going to make the playoffs 9 times out of 10 this year. It would take probably a lot for them not to make it, especially with the absolute insane rise that they had at the end of last season, last 20 games or so, 30 games or whatever. And it's post All-Star break, so I think a lot of people are just getting into the swing of things now. And I'm happy that they made this trade before the trade deadline, to be honest, because I think it would have been a lot more stressful on their players, would have been a lot more stressful, period, not knowing where you're going and everything. I mean, Dion may not have known where he was going, and we have a power play right now, and we're getting wrecked. But I don't know if he was even contacted that he was being traded, because Kadri said that he was surprised. I mean, it's kind of weird that they traded him to Ottawa in a sense, because he's going to see Toronto a lot this year, probably the rest of the year, depending on how many times they've played each other already, but I don't think it's more than 2, so, well, it might be 2. They might have played 2 games already against each other. Yeah, that makes sense. So they probably play each other 2 more times. And that could be 1 game in Ottawa, 1 game in Toronto, or 2 games in Toronto, 2 games in Ottawa, you know what I mean? I don't know where they played this earlier this year. I don't really follow other teams other than Tampa Bay, but which, by the way, got destroyed by Montreal, and I'm not too happy about that. But it is what it is, and people are going to say that Phaneuf was a star player in Toronto, but realistically, he was always the player that everybody would blame. I don't know how many times on my personal Facebook, I would see Leaf fans blaming Dion Phaneuf for a loss. You can't blame one player just because he wears a letter that it says C on his jersey. I I don't care who you are. If you're blamed for a loss consistently, you're not going to be happy and you're not going to want to play in that place anymore. And I think that's what it came down to with Dion Phaneuf. He did not want to play in Toronto. He did not want to suit up in a Toronto jersey anymore. And he just didn't have the kahunas to kind of say that. And that's why Lou Lamoriello, or whatever his fucking name is, decided I'm going to make that choice for him. And I'm going to give him the saving grace. Get him out of this place. And maybe he will do something in Ottawa. Now, the one thing that everybody's saying is he's going to... we just got scored shorthanded on, but he's going to really just not get the playing time that he had in Toronto. And yeah, that's true, but he don't have to carry the workload like people thought he did in Toronto. Because I don't feel like he had to carry the workload, or should have carried the workload in Toronto. Yet again, this is all opinion, but at the same time, Erik Karlsson's the third defenseman in Ottawa, and at the end of the day, he's going to sign a big-ass contract eventually. So, if you want a 1-2 punch of Dion Phaneuf and Erik Karlsson, which is kind of what it seems like they're doing, I don't know how many years is left on his contract. If it's 1, then this deal is perfect for Ottawa, and they're getting away with a lot, in my opinion, because they have a defenseman that they can make it the cup run with, a depth defenseman that's good, and can do great things for them on any length of the ice. And yeah, I think they got away with a really good deal for Ottawa. And at the same time, I think Toronto also got a very good deal. So I think it was a very good deal for both teams. But let me know what you thought in the comments. In the next video, we will be going to Boston and Toronto. So we played the Leafs in the next game. So if you enjoyed this episode, please drop a like and drop your opinions below. Peace.